Welcome back to the sleepover thing. What's happening? I still don't have a name for it actually. Um I just call it sleepover time. But that doesn't sound right. So I don't know, it's something like bedtime talk or something. Bed talk. I don't know. Whatever. But I actually have something I wanted to say. Oh yeah, also I have my Invisalign on, so if I sound weird with my S's, it's probably because I'm still not used to speaking with it on. But anyways, um, so, you know, I love sci-fi actually. Like, I love fantasy more, but I love sci-fi because it's just fantasy, but in space sometimes, or it's playing around with certain concepts and stuff, and that's why I love science fiction. Um, I myself am actually very, like, I'm not good with physics. I'm not good with maths. I'm not gonna say I'm a science girly. I love science. Like, don't get me wrong. I love learning about it. I especially love astronomy. I love learning about biology and stuff, but all of my knowledge, I'd say, is like surface level, like textbook level. I'm not one of those people who like are so knowledgeable about it. I wish, but I'm not. But the point is, I love sci-fi, especially the world building aspect of it, but I'd stick to fantasy more because there's just leeway of like what's it called? The like the immersion of it. Like you're not really, you don't have to believe in anything. You don't really believe that dragons are real because obviously you don't see a dragon flying everywhere. But for sci-fi, there's some people are a little bit more like serious about it. They're a bit strict and stuff, but there's still a little bit of leeway in regards to like aliens and stuff. So that's what I love about sci-fi. It's when you can create different races who live in their own worlds, their own planets, and that's the fun part. That's what I love. So, why am I talking about this? Well, I love like sci-fi, and there is one story. I do have one story where it's set in like the greater universe. Basically, it's not on Earth, but I do have human characters. There's only like 2 of them. That's the main thing. And it started off in space, like smack dab in the middle of it. Like, aliens are the main characters. There's a whole squadron of them, and there's only one human in the good guy team and one human in the bad guy team, and they're both brothers. So there's like an emotional connection between the 2 of them. So, right, I was thinking, right? So I'm deep into the alien lore. I've made my alien races like deep and stuff. So I sort of wanted to get back to the humans, the Earthlings or Terrans. Sometimes people call humans Terrans. Lore-wise, I have no idea. The idea I have for my story is that while there is the greater like Milky Way universe, like there's this whole alliance between the aliens, humans especially, that are still in Earth, I imagine them to have, I imagine humans have like this alliance with other races within the solar system, and I don't have a name for it yet, but I just call it the Solar Alliance because, you know, Sola is still technically the sun. But anyway, whatever. the point is that humans, Martians, I had a name for people from Venus as well, Mercurians, people from Jupiter, etc., etc. They're all in this mini little group within the whole universe itself. And I thought, it got me thinking, you know, like, what would the future of humanity be? Because I sort of like began brainstorming it. And here's the thing, I never wanted to brainstorm humans in the future, because like I'm more interested in like aliens and stuff, and like their stories and what I could do with them, but never humans. But the idea of this solar system group, this is like a sort of like a sort of Avengers kind of thing, but it's not. It's just like a little squadron of like the main heroes that each planet chose, and they sort of have this representative, and it's like a hero person. And I was thinking, obviously I'm not gonna give humans like powers. However, I was thinking like humans, they have this like undeniable connection with nature itself. Like some humans are just very like, they're very like into nature and stuff, and they obviously have some sort of connection to spiritual like practices within Earth itself. So obviously, like, I wouldn't call it magic. No, it's magic. There's obviously some sort of magic within humans themselves, but the character, the hero that they chose as a representative, he doesn't have powers. I want to, like, in terms of his spacesuit, I wanted it to sort of look like one of those armor, like knight armors, because you know, it sort of references like medieval history, and that's sort of what I was thinking for like his spacesuit, which is a spacesuit but looks very much like a medieval knight. So I think that's really cute. But so here, like I said, I was brainstorming like ideas, specifically what is humanity's future. And obviously we can't rule out the fact that, you know, there's obviously people are like globalized, and people are gonna be even more globalized with like aliens, because you're gonna have to talk to them. So not only do you have to deal with other humans, you have to deal with like new races too, and they have their own like values, their own like languages, their own cultures. So obviously, like, you can't just stick to being alone anymore. And obviously there's gonna be groups that are like very much scared of like talking to other species, I guess. So it's an interesting thought, right? I asked myself like, hey, what would my favorite like world-ending scenario would be? What would the future of Earth look like for me? And as much as I want to say like, oops, sorry, there's like this thing in front of the camera, that's why I can't like see this arm very well, this one. But yeah, so I was thinking, well, the internet, like, what would it do? Because like, if you would choose to like hide away from society and sort of just back off, because like it's a scary world now, it's bigger than it was before, and you are in a world where billionaires are probably in Mars right now. You're living in a world where businesses are like, people are making businesses in other planets now. There's probably like tourist areas up in other planets and stuff. Like, what are you gonna do back in Earth? Personally, like, just discounting all of like the I'm just ignoring all of the the existential crisis of it all. I just want to get into like the questions itself. Like, in my opinion, if let's say people would go out to other planets and sort of live a life there in other planets, I would say that maybe, just maybe, it would actually help out people who still live on Earth, because if you're looking for profit, then there's more people you can profit off of, which are like aliens. So I'd say like the late stage capitalismness of current, like the current state of our economy, will sort of like no longer be late stage in other planets, because it's like anyone can be an entrepreneur now, and they can like start any business in other places and have new customers who have no idea what capitalism is, you know. And obviously there are like intelligent species who probably like hate capitalism, like it's probably not in their culture and stuff like that, and they don't value it. But you know, it's like the opposite of late stage capitalism. So like humanity wise, like let's say all of the like these late staginess of capitalism, let's just say it's flown out the window, like literally out the window into like other planets, let's say. Wouldn't you say that that would help Earth? Sort of like maybe people aren't so hard on, I don't know, Medicare anymore, because like we're getting money from other planets, or you know, stuff like that. Just, I'm not an economist, but I'd like to think that it might help, like the idea of just people who are capitalists, like really good at business and stuff. Maybe they might actually use their skills towards other races and not just other humans who actually need help. And yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just wishful thinking, but that's the ideal future. The sad part though, the sad reality, I think, in the future that I'm imagining is the fact that I think the more people really want to talk to other races, then there's just a whole subset of people who will further isolate themselves. Because right now, like, you can see it with the advent of the internet, there are people, despite how you're able to socialize, you're still going to isolate yourself. Like, there are just some people out there who are way too scared to talk to others, whether it's face to face or online, because online you can choose to not talk to others, you can choose to just engage, or you can even choose to just have surface level conversations. Whereas in face to face, you're sort of, especially when there wasn't any like technology back then, or like there's no internet and stuff, like people have to go outside. Like, I don't know, I keep seeing like the old videos, the old pictures of like people, like let's say during events and stuff, and there's like tons of people, huge crowds and stuff, and I just can't imagine like being someone who wasn't aware during that time. And obviously you can be, because it's gonna be hard, especially like without a phone, without telegraph, without like mailing services. But now everyone is online, everyone has access to the internet, and let's say you have access to more people, to more beings that you can socialize with. Like, would you like talk to others? I'd say a lot of people would say yes, but at the same time a lot of people would also say no. And I think people would use the age of, I'd say, aliens as an opportunity to maybe get back with nature, because if I hear there's aliens, right, and hypothetically, let's keep this like hopeful. Hypothetically, like, life is turning out great. Like, the idea of wages is probably like maybe helpful now because, I don't know, the economy is booming or something. Maybe life is turning out great. And because of that, like, because of aliens and stuff, it sort of made me reevaluate me as a person. I would honestly go back to nature and just enjoy the planet itself, because if you talk to other races and ask like what is your planet like, I mean, would you feel like jealous, or would you feel like, oh, that's also my planet, like we're not that different? Like, oh yeah, so in terms of like the world building, what I did was that aliens who live in sort of the Milky Way, so there's this like theory, sort of a theory, where like in astronomy, where the Milky Way will merge with this galaxy in the far future, where they're just gonna like collide. And obviously it's gonna be super slow, but when they do collide, then it's just like they're gonna merge, and then they're like black holes are gonna do something, I don't know what, probably just gonna merge or something. But the idea was that we're in the future where the two have touched, sort of, and they're beginning to merge. And so the idea is aliens who live in the Milky Way, they're very humanoid for one reason or another. Like, come on, like it's sci-fi, guys, please. I don't want to explain anything that deep, but so Milky Way aliens are humanoid, like, you know, different skin colors obviously and stuff, but they're humanoid. And so the people from you know, let's just call it Andromeda for now. Like, I don't know if that's the universe that's gonna like merge with the Milky Way, but let's just call this Andromeda. Aliens from Andromeda are not humanoid, like they are the most alien-y looking people. And so that's the idea. Like, imagine blobs, imagine like tentacly, you know, like I'd say like xenomorphs are like the in-betweens of the two of them. Just an idea, you know. So that's from the Andromeda universe. Those are the kind of aliens from here. And then here, it's humanoids is like bipedal mostly, fingers, lots of fingers and stuff. Yeah, so, you know, like 2 eyes, mouth is like in this spacey thing, you know. And people from the other universe are way more gelatinous, I'd say. They have like, I don't know, 4 limbs, stuff like that. Just sci-fi. And so you have these two interacting, and because of that, there's like rebels, and then there's like, this is where the Star Wars inspiration comes in. There's like rebels, and then there's like the Alliance, which is like very pro-human. And then the Andromeda people are sort of like not pro-human, but more like they're being outcasted, sort of. And so honestly, have no idea. The idea is that there's just one big government governing both parties now, and it's more so the Milky Way people that are more interested in this government, and people from the other universe are sort of just stuck. And so I also want to say that in terms of like the shape, like there are more civilizations closer to the center of like the Milky Way versus like the outer edge of like the Andromeda universe galaxy. I don't know, stuff like that. Honestly, my story is more so like focusing on the little groups itself. Like the rebels are criminals at the start, like because you're following a ragtag group of like imperial like this patrol group. There's like 6 of them. 6, I think. Yeah, I'd say 6 or 7 of them in one group. And then they're trying to catch 2 sort of like bandits. One of them, like I said, is a human, and one of them is like this guy who's well known for like destroying his planet and like killing his entire race. So that's like the main villains. But then one of the characters from this patrol group, this like team, I'll just call him the team, he sort of gets kidnapped by them and like learns like, oh my god, this isn't really a bad thing. Like the Institute, the Alliance, it's actually effed up, guys, come on. I don't know, just an idea. And you will get to learn more about like these other group of like criminals and stuff. So yeah, so that's just an idea, but that's not the point. The point was to figure out like the future of Earth, so we're gonna do that. I'm thinking that like if there is one way I'd like to sort of experience the end of the world, honestly, I want it to be a monster. Like, okay, I watched this video on, I think it's called like why a monster should be the end of the world kind of thing, and it just like put into perspective like the idea of just something just being out of your control, and whatever is destroying it is something either sentient or malicious. Like let's take the hypothetical idea that a malicious monster is here to like destroy the earth. I think they used, I don't know if it's Junji Ito, but it was like a planet-sized, planet-eating monster, and it would like destroy Earth and stuff. I like to think that, I don't know, I'd rather like the creature be sort of a force of nature rather than malicious, because being malicious, it feels like a bully is gonna kill you and you have nothing, like you have no control over it, and you feel like there's a sort of injustice to it. Like obviously there's an injustice either way, like you're gonna die, and you could say that's injustice because you don't have a choice. But I like to think that, I mean, if I had to choose, I'd rather the monster be just like stomping their way through Earth and accidentally like got us killed rather than like rather than humans like learning of some creature and they're specifically targeting us for one reason or another, you know? That would be fun. I also want the creature to be like somewhat Pacific Rimmy, except it's not just a kaiju, it's like the entire world itself, because I don't know, I love the idea of just creatures within the planet. It's so good. That's the end of the world scenario though. The other way I'd want to like end the world in is like when the sun just explodes and eternal darkness, and then you die because it's cold and there's no sun. Wouldn't that be fun? Like, I don't know, because if you think about it, like how would you just want civilization to end? Some people say that we will all die before that ever happens. Like, the earth will continue living without humans one day, and I'd say that's sad, but at the same time that's like best case scenario for us. I mean, it's sad because it implies that we could have stopped it eventually at one point or another, but at the same time, you know, dinosaurs weren't here forever and they probably thought that they were the kings of the earth once. So I'd say that's a more bleak that's a more bleak idea. I saw this like slideshow or something where it sort of hypothesized what Earth would be in the future. Sorry. I also actually let's talk about the three-body problem first, because it outlined a future where humanity was sort of forced to actually have technological improvements because this alien species was going to come and invade us, you know? So humanity brute force like this their like advancements because we needed to live, and there's this whole like there's technically this whole chess thing happening where you're gonna have to like choose between them or us, and there's also the fact that it's a dark forest, so other species are sort of just waiting for someone to make the wrong move. And so the idea of it's not just us, it's not just them, there's also like tons more species all around you that could kill you if they wanted to, right? So it's like a fun game of like a weird and scary chess. Except it's like global and it's about civilizations and stuff. Now that part, that's great. Like I love the whole I love the theory crafting of like how civilizations would interact with each other basically, and that's what I loved when I listened to and understood what like the three-body problem series are, like the Dark Forest and what was the last book called? Anyways, the point is that they outlined a future where humanity is forced to choose to advance themselves for the better of their like future. Then like so there's that like humanity will eventually be in the stars, and they also outlined a future wherein I guess the whole universe just sort of hang on, sorry, spoiler alert. Spoiler, maybe not spoiler, but spoilers for the books, I guess. That's spoilers for the books. the point is that, you know what, actually I'm not gonna spoil it. Sorry. So the point is that in the future, like, they outlined that humanity wasn't the first to be destroyed. Not that they were destroyed, that's not a spoiler. I'm just speaking. Like, there are like sort of gates, and there's like, in each gate there's like a doomsday scenario where like every civilization must try and overcome, and eventually at the very end there's like a doomsday scenario where not all civilizations will live, sort of thing. No spoilers there, like, I'm not gonna tell you what happens to the characters and humanity, but the point is that it's very bleak, and it talks about not just worldwide, like world-scaled events anymore. It's not just like solar system scaled events anymore. It's not just galaxies. It's about the universe itself, and we're not gonna talk about that. We're gonna like just dial it back and just stick to one planet. So the slideshow, they talked about how eventually, like, let's say 100,000 years into the future, right? 100,000, yeah. That is like, we can't imagine that. Like, the fact is, like, if you think about it, well, how is it? It was like, the pyramids were closer to like, what was it called? Oxford being built as a university, and it's closer to that than they are to the building of, or to like when Cleopatra lived, she's closer to the creation of Oxford than the building of the pyramids. I think that's it. I don't know, I forgot. But basically, let's just say I'm right, like what I just said is right. That Cleopatra was closer in time to when Oxford as a university was first created and first founded, versus her living to like when the pyramids were made. You know, I think that's harder to actually visualize and understand. So 100,000 years is itself just undescribable. Like, you can't think about it. Like, when people like say, oh, global warming stuff, right? That's just from when the Industrial Revolution happened. Like, that's not like, let's give like, what was it? It was like, was it 1600s? And it's what, the 2000s now? So I don't know if it's actually 1600s or like 17 or 1800s, but it's in the 400-year range, okay? 400 years, and we've sort of just increased like the heat of the surface of like the earth by like 2 degrees, I believe. And that's just 400 years. 400, okay? And from that to like, there's also the fact that like the printing press was also created like just only recently as well. Like, obviously written languages is probably like way longer than that, but just visualize the years. And then now we just have like an extremely super close advancement period where people were able to go to the moon, we were able to send rockets and little robots to like other parts of space, right? So 100,000 years, you can't even imagine it. But even then, some people imagine that there's no humans at all by 100,000 years. Like, and then you think a million years, and some people just imagine it as like a super barren wasteland now. Like Earth looks like Venus or Mars. Like just an empty landscape. And I think that's sad because, like, unless, like, let's say aliens come, they're just gonna see Earth as how we see Mars now. Like, unless they come here and probably dig some stuff and see, like, the skyscrapers and the tall buildings that were once made, nobody would know we existed. And that would be the future of Earth for some people, for like 100,000 years. That's why when people say, like when I first heard that one day the sun would explode into a supernova, or like maybe it's too small for a supernova, I don't know. But eventually when the sun does die, because when I heard that the sun could die, I was really sad, honestly, because like the sun is just there and we take it for granted, and then one day she's gonna be gone, and honestly that's sad to me. So when I first heard that, and I think, I don't know who said it, but like in the comments or something, or the guy in the documentary, he said that by then you shouldn't be anxious about the sun dying because you'll be gone by then. And when I was little, I actually thought about it. I'm like, dang, will I really not live to see the end of the sun? Like, that's just such a crazy concept to me when I was little. like damn, now I do want to see it. Now I want to see it explode. That would be way fun. Way more fun than just disappearing. But of course, there's like people who believe in the afterlife and stuff. So look, I'm not gonna talk about that part, okay? I'm talking about specifically, like, damn, I'm not gonna be able to see the freaking sun explode. Like, damn, I want to see it. Of course, so like 100,000 years, nobody can visualize that. Some people say that humanity will look different, but we're still here. I've seen people say that we've actually begun evolving, where it's like people are like the tails. I don't know, there's something happening with like pinkies because of like how much people hold their phones. Their pinkies are doing a little bit of something here. Like if you like put your palm up, you can see your pinky is sort of awkwardly, weirdly placed now. I don't know if that's real, okay, but I saw somewhere where it's like, oh, because of how much we use our phone like this, the pinky is doing something weird now. Anyways, I don't want to get into it, okay? I don't want to feed misinformation that I'm probably like misinformed and all that. And I don't want to like talk about the afterlife and stuff. I didn't mean to get it to make this topic really bleak, but the future, isn't that fun? And sci-fi, isn't that fun? Honestly, like sci-fi, you can have anything happen really, and it doesn't always have to be dystopic in nature. Obviously, at one point or another, certain aspects of, I think, the future will be dystopic for lots of people. There's this whole AI thing happening right now, and nobody knows if you consider it dystopic in the far future, or if it's just another iPhone happening, another iPhone craze happening, And at the moment, like right now, people are trying to be the next Steve Jobs. They want to be rich, so they keep giving money to these new startups, these new ideas, and some people say that, hey, we're moving way too fast and regulations just aren't keeping up. And in a way I agree, because for years, for decades, we've had the internet now, and there's not really a good way to actually regulate it and stuff. So there's that whole conversation, like, it's hard to imagine the future without it being dystopic, because at the moment there's we can feel we can see the dystopic aspects right now as we live and breathe. So imagining a future where perhaps everything isn't so bleak is actually maybe way more fun than imagining a future where all realistic aspects of human life and technology, is coming true and stuff, has come true at least. And because we've heard of stories of I have no mouth and I must scream, such really dark concepts and such. There's also, like I said, three body problem, which focuses on a very specific theory, or answering a specific question, which is the Fermi paradox and stuff. I would like to raise you a question. What would our future be in the most nicest way possible? Obviously utopias, utopia as a word means that it doesn't exist. I think utopia means no place or something, it's not a real place, which is why I'd like to imagine it more, because utopias, I think, they're easy to think about, but there's just really no place that would be perfect for anyone. I have my imagination, I know what the perfect place would look like, and it's the most selfish thing you could think about. And for some people, that's their utopia. Sometimes it's with their god, sometimes it's just nothing. Sometimes it's people being happy, Gulliver's Travels, I think, was the literature that sort of played around with these ideas of, and then one of them specifically was this unicorn culture, where it's a utopia, it's a floating island, but down at the very the thing that was pulling this floating island up was a bunch of humans. I don't know, it's such an interesting concept and stuff. And I don't know if that's sci-fi anymore, by the way. Does time travel count as sci-fi? Some people would say yes, and in a way it is, but it's I think it's alternate history fiction. Anyways, the point is that the future of humanity and stuff, it's always bleak and stuff. I honestly wanted to just talk in this video about the possible futures of humanity in terms of my story. And I didn't mean for it to get this dark, but yeah. Well, I'd like to hear your thoughts, actually. This is a call to action. What is your brightest ideas of the future? Because I don't know, I'd say, because I didn't mean for it to get political in any way, talking about capitalism and all that, and how life would be better if they're gone. but I truly, I think we would benefit from being around aliens. Like, the three-body problem gave us such a bleak future with them. I'd like to think that maybe we have a future where they're just like us and friendliness sort of wins, because, you know, we're both intelligent species. Like, what would three-body problem be if everyone just relaxed? I don't want to seem like naive when asking this. It's just, it's another fantasy sort of genre. It's just set in space for me. So it's the thought of like different species interacting with one another. That to me is so interesting. It's way more interesting than different species trying to kill each other using different types of sciences. So yeah, that's my sleepover thought of the night. And I want you to think of your little stories as you dream tonight. You should probably go to sleep. Thank you for coming to my sleepover. We shall sleep now. And rest your head. Thank you. Bye bye. I hope the audio's good this time. But anyways, bye bye.